Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm an amateur model builder. I'm building a layout in my basement called the White River Line, inspired by the Frisco Railroad in the Ozarks. In my last episode, I got started on the track work here on the rail yard. I laid down the cork roadbed, and I got started on laying down all the ties. I got all of those ties finished up since I last left you, and now, well, I just have a couple more things to do over here. I've got to stain the ties, and I've got to lay down the rails. That's just two things, right? How long could that take? Well, let's jump on into it. I started by pulling up all the strips of tape on the ties. And I got a little help from my youngest, Mimi. I grabbed my jar of tie stain made from Vallejo German black brown and water, and we got started staining the ties. We were stepping on each other's toes a bit, so we changed strategies. Mimi moved to one end of the yard, and I worked on the other. We met in the middle. With the ties all stained, now it is time for some decision making. Do I want to spike down the rail for the siding first and then install the ladder? Or do I want to install the ladder first? While I mulled over this decision, I did a little more prep work on the ladder. I clipped and filed all the rail ends just to make sure they are even and there aren't any burrs. And I rounded the corners of the base slightly to make it easier to slip on rail joiners. At the suggestion of my friend Keith on the Frisco forums, I made a little tool to help prep the rail joiner. I tapered the base of the rail considerably here. This should help gap the rail joiners a bit and make them easier to slip on the rail. I'm a little short of rail joiners at the moment, so I did not add them to the rail ends leading out of the yard at the top and bottom of the ladder. I decided to add the ladder before spiking down the siding. Although it'll make adding the rail for the siding a little more difficult, I'll be able to very precisely place the ladder. To attach the ladder, I'm using Plyobond contact cement. I first applied it to the rails. I skipped the section of the stock rails that have notches cut in them. It's easy to add too much cement here and gum up the movement of the point rails. Next, I added Plyobond to the ties. Then I had some dinner while I waited for the cement to dry. Once the cement was dry, but still a little bit tacky, it was time to lay down the ladder. I set out some sticks left over from the quick stick ties I glued to the road bed in my last video. These will keep the ladder off of the contact cement, so I can adhere one section at a time. Starting at the top, I position the rails on the ties. Then I press them down a bit. And then I use my soldering iron to vulcanize the Plyobond in a few places. This process will help speed up the adhesion. Normally, it takes 48 hours for the cement to cure fully. I worked my way down the track, taking my time and being as precise as possible. And now, the most complicated piece of track work on my layout is installed. I still need to paint the PC board ties, and it looks like my tie staining needs a little touch-up, but soon I can start laying down the rest of the rail. To paint these ties, I began by airbrushing on a bit of Israeli sand gray primer. I used an index card to help mask the wood ties surrounding the PC board ties. For the throw bars, I cut out a slot in an index card to mask them, since they sit a little bit closer to the wood ties. I then brush them with a bit of German black brown, just like the wood ties. Now I'm ready to spike down some rail. Here on the siding, it's just a little bit longer than 36 inches. So I clipped a piece of rail approximately in half and started spiking it down. I spiked every 8th rail. If you'd like a little more detail on my technique for spiking rail, I've provided a link in the upper right-hand corner. Then I measured and cut a bit of rail to the correct length and filed the ends. I put a joiner almost all the way onto the rail. Then I slipped the other end onto the joiner already installed on the ladder. Then I carefully pushed the joiner into place. I soldered these two pieces together. I finished spiking down the rail every 8th tie. Then I went back to the beginning and filled in so every 4th tie is spiked. Using my track gauges, I installed the 2nd rail. When adding the 2nd rail, I spike every 4th rail right from the start. Again, I joined and soldered a length of rail to reach the top of the ladder. I made sure that these two joints are offset a little bit, based on a recommendation from a more experienced railroader, which makes a lot of sense to me. With the siding done, I moved on to the first rung in the yard ladder. I joined it to the switch and spiked it down. Then I used my centering jig and spiked down the end. After marking every 8th rail, I spiked it in the middle using my straight edge. This makes it a little less wobbly and easier to work with. Then I work to spike down every 8th tie. Now I'm all out of rail joiners, so I guess I need to get some on order before I can finish this up. But this process isn't much different than what I just showed you. Before I leave you, I'd like to announce a little giveaway. I've got a couple of cars I bought many years ago that don't fit the era I am now modeling. They are Bowser ACF 70-ton 2-bay covered hoppers. One of them is fully assembled. Well, almost. I still need to put the trucks on. And is painted gray to match Frisco's color scheme, but it is undecorated. The other is pretty much untouched in the box. The first place winner will receive the assembled one, and I'll decorate it to the road of your choosing, assuming I can procure the proper decals. And I'll weather it for you too. The second place winner will receive the one I've yet to assemble. I'll assemble it for you if you like, but I'll leave the paint and weathering up to you. To enter the giveaway, just leave a comment below, and once I reach 2,000 subscribers, I'll randomly pick the winners. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and those links are below along with a list of tools, supplies, and resources I use. I'll be heading back over to the workbench next time to get a little more work done on my Kitbash lumberyard. So please join me again next time as I continue modeling the White River Line.